Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, in 2000, the year 2000, US President Bill Clinton visited India. In fact, he was on a three-nation visit, Bangladesh, India and Pakistan. But before that visit, India was eager that he must not visit Pakistan. And when he visited India, during that time, in Chettisingpura, there was a large-scale massacre of Sikh community. Around 35 Sikh was murdered. And they were murdered, and soon after that, India labeled that whole episode, whole event, that was unfortunate, very unfortunate. And that event was labeled as a terrorist act. And straight away, Indian media jumped the gun and blamed Pakistan without any proofs that it was the act done by Pakistan. Why it was? Because the US President Bill Clinton was there in Delhi. And India was trying hard that he must have to cancel that visit to Pakistan. But despite of that, he visited Pakistan. And that was the account mentioned in that time US Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, in her book, The Mighty and the Almighty. And in that book, it was clearly written that there were ample evidences with the United States that India had done that episode, that event, the killing, the mass killing of Sikh community. That was the false flag operation. In the same scenario, when recently the US Vice President J.D. Vance was in India, again in Pahalgam, it is the area or tehsil of the district Anantnag, Islamabad, in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Around 26 innocent lives were taken. I am using the word taken with a purpose. And the story behind is that it was really a false flag operation, and most of the countries, even the intelligent minds within India, they are now vocal on that it was just because of some of the elections in Bihar that Modi regime once again used these tactics. Unfortunately, this is with a purpose, and the purpose is that first of all, to show India, to present India as a victim of terrorism, get sympathies from across the world, particularly from the big powers. Also, to curtail the indigenous freedom movement, to discredit Kashmiris, and related activities to enhance the genocidal campaign, the war crimes and ethnic cleansing in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And along with that, the huge purpose is to label Pakistan as an epicenter of terrorism. Although India is exporting terrorism, not only in the region but globally. And India is using this leverage, this state-sponsored terrorism, as a tool of its foreign policy. But no one is paying heed. Despite of that, ample proofs are there. So, when we are talking about that, it is not the first time we have already that it is right from Chettisingpura to Pahalgam. There were several false flag operations done during the course of time. India, especially the Bharatiya Janata Party, the offshoot of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, orchestrated these false flag operations, particularly directed to Pakistan. Related to that, allegations are always leveled without any concrete proof or start of any investigation. And they have always used their media for that purpose. The fake news and all that, which was already there, and it was propagated time and again. When we are talking about overall aspect, just go through that how actually India is doing all this. And the proof is that even the sentiments of the people within Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and even the Indian citizens, how they are speaking against this whole menace, what India is actually doing, and how they are actually sabotaging the peace and stability within the region. Let's have listen that what the sentiments of the people in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and some of the sentiments of the Indian citizens, what they are saying.
आज जो भी लोग मारे गए उनको हम जहाँ पर श्रद्धांजलि भेंट की, लेकिन आए दिन हमारे जो पुलिस कर्मी, हमारी बैट फोर्सेस के, आर्मी फोर्सेस के, सीआरपी के, सिविलियन टूरिस्टों को मारा जा रहा है, ये हमारी बर्दाश्त से बाहर।
अगर यहाँ पर 7 लाख से लेकर 12 लाख की सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस है, वो क्या कर रहे थे? मैं अगर नॉर्मली अभी बजाती खुद एज ए मीडिया पर्सन अपनी ऑफिशियल कार में पहलगाम तक जाता हूँ, मैं भी कश्मीरी, पहलगाम तक जाते जाते मुझे 10 चेक पॉइंट्स पे रोका जाता है, मच्छी साथ नहीं ले सकता मैं। ये बंदे आए कहाँ से? डोंट आस्क कश्मीरीज ऑन दिस, आस्क द सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज। कितनी कंपनीज है यहाँ, आरआर है, एसएसबी है, सीआरपीएफ है, आर्मी है, बीएसएफ है, वो क्या जग मार रहे थे सर? गवर्नमेंट क्या कर रही थी? अभी यहाँ पर हम बात करें अच्छी वारिया लुक होना या वलसा या सच नेशनल ये हमारी यूटी है। यहाँ पर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के कंट्रोल में होम डिपार्टमेंट है ही नहीं। द सिक्योरिटी इज अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ गवर्नर। व्हाट वाज ही डूइंग? लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर, उससे पूछो सवाल। मैं उससे सवाल कर रहा हूँ आप सब लोगों के माध्यम से कि क्या कर रहा था गवर्नर? होम मिनिस्टर साहब यहाँ आए, होम मिनिस्टर साहब मैं आपसे सवाल कर रहा हूँ, ये क्यों हुआ?
वर्दी और इनकी वर्दी सेम नहीं होती है। अगर टेररिस्ट को हम देखेंगे 90 से देखो कौन सा टूरिस्ट उन्होंने मारा है। मानो ये हमारे बाप जैसे हैं, मानो सिख भी यहाँ पे रहते हैं, मुसलमान भी रहते हैं, किस सिख को मारा है? ये खाली गवर्नमेंट की चाल है, क्योंकि इनको 2019 से कश्मीर को खत्म करना था और ये देख रहे थे कि खत्म नहीं हो रहा है कश्मीर। इन्होंने देखा इनका पिलर कौन सा है, ये जो मजबूती से अभी भी है, इनका पिलर कौन सा है? इन्होंने देखा टूरिस्ट का पिलर है। इन्होंने मानो 27 लोगों को कौन मार सकता है? मुझे बताओ, 25-26 आदमी को कौन मार सकता है? और हमें बताओ, इतने कैमरे लगे हुए हैं, बोलते हैं जहाँ पे वो मानो अटैक हुआ है वहाँ पे गाड़ी नहीं जा रही है, पैदल इंसान जा रहा है। सिक्योरिटी इतनी है कि वहाँ से कहाँ से टेररिस्ट कहाँ से आ गए वहाँ से? मुझे बताओ, हम यहाँ पे इतने हैं, टूरिस्ट भी है, सिख भी है, मुसलमान भी है, जरा हमें मार के दिखाओ। हम तो फुल लाल चौक में कोई मानो ये गवर्नमेंट का एजेंडा है। ये मानो हमारा उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब इनको स्टेटहुड मांग रहा था, इन्होंने इस पे अटैक किया। टूरिस्टों से कुछ भी नहीं है, वो हमारे भाई हैं, हम उनके भाई हैं। हो गए ठीक? वो यहाँ पे आएंगे, हम उनके यहाँ जाएंगे, तभी भाईचारा बढ़ेगा। ये हमारा भाईचारा खत्म करना चाहते हैं, ये हमारा कश्मीर खत्म करना चाहते हैं। हमें बताओ, 370 अगर इन्होंने मानो तोड़ा है तो इसका फायदा क्या हुआ?
ये मैंने पहले ही बोला, ये गवर्नमेंट फेलियर है, इंटेलिजेंस फेलियर है, सिक्योरिटी फेलियर है। यहाँ 7 लाख फौजी हैं जमा कश्मीर में, एक छोटा सा इलाका है, 7 लाख फौजी हैं, वो कहाँ है? क्या कर रहे थे? अमित शाह क्या कर रहा था? सिर्फ उसको मुसलमान के खिलाफ बोलना आता है। वक्त बिल हो, कुछ बिल हो, सिर्फ मुसलमान। ये कहाँ है? कहाँ है इस वक्त? ये कश्मीरियों को बदनाम करने की एक साजिश मुझे लगता है, जैसे छठी सिंहपोरा हुआ वैसा ही ये है। इससे पहले भी यहाँ डलगेट में 2 टूरिस्ट बसों पर ग्रेनेड अटैक हुआ था ऐसे कुछ साल पहले। उसका रिपोर्ट दिखाया, वो किसने किया था, सब पता चल जाएगा आपको। कश्मीरी ऐसा नहीं करता है, न करेगा कभी। 7 साल पहले, 8 साल पहले डलगेट में 2 ग्रेनेड टूरिस्ट बसों पर छिपाएंगे तो वो किसने फेंके थे? इसमें पता कीजिए, फिर कश्मीरियों को बदनाम कीजिए।
जब भी थिंग्स डोंट गो विथ बीजेपी, उनके हिसाब से नहीं चलता है, आपको ऐसे कुछ ना कुछ कंट्री के अंदर दिखाई देगा। 100-200% आपको दिखाई देगा। अभी ये बिल के हिसाब से, वक्फ बिल के हिसाब से इतना उन लोग प्रेशर कर रहे हैं, तो कुछ ना कुछ डाइवर्ट करने के लिए वैसे ही होने वाला है। आप लोग क्यों सरप्राइज हो रहे हो? जैसे पुलवामा में बताया था कि टेरर अटैक हो गया और वहां पे आपको कोई भी कैजुअलिटी नहीं दिखी, तो यहाँ पे तो बेचारे मासूम लोगों की जान गई जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स। जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स। फ्रॉम द टाइम कश्मीर में कांग्रेस आ गया है, कितने बार आपको ये सुनाई दिया है कि आतंकवादी आ गए, आतंकवादी आ गए। आतंकवादी अपना नाम लिख के आता है, वो हिंदू है, मुस्लिम है, और वो मारने के पहले आपको बोलेगा नमाज पढ़ो करके। रियली लाइक न्यूज चैनल भी इतनी पागल हो गई है, उसको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है क्या बोलने के लिए।
Viewers, you have heard the sentiments of the common Kashmiris and even the Indian citizens, what they are saying, and these are that is the truth which is straight away coming from inside, and that is that whenever there would be any sort of a nefarious motive of the Modi regime, they always use not only this mantra of terrorism, also stage the false flag operations, then use their media, pressurize Pakistan, then use their politicians, their retired generals, the bureaucrats, then comes the government itself. And soon after that, they'll make lots of statements, the belligerent statements, to have some sort of adventurism. And we have seen that soon after that, they have unilaterally made a statement of suspending the Indus Water Treaty, although it is not a provision within the agreement as well, because it's a bilateral agreement, and India can't do it unilaterally. And look at the height of those lies, the fake, fabricated and fictitious news stories which are. I have an example of one. That is, Indian media give a completely fake and fabricated story of the killing of two of the terrorists. They named it terrorists, crossing a line of control in Sarjiwar, Baramulla region on April 23rd, 2025. And just watch it. Just watch it, and afterwards I'll explain it.
Terrorists have been eliminated in the Baramulla operation. The heavy exchange of fire continues between security forces and terrorists. 2 terrorists have been eliminated. Infiltration bid that was foiled by the security forces in the ongoing operation. Two terrorists have been eliminated in the Baramulla operation. The heavy exchange of.
You have just gone through, this is one of the Indian channel portraying the 2 terrorists were killed at the line of control. The fact of the matter is that one of the innocent Kashmiri from Azad Kashmir, from the village Sarjiwar, and name was Malik Farooq. He was 50 years of age. And other was Muhammad Deen. He was 60 years of age, and they were actually gone to the LOC to locate their livestock when they don't know what is actually happening on the other side of the LOC in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And they were totally innocent people when the Indian brutal forces murdered them and declared them as terrorists and given these fictitious, fabricated fake news to the channels, and they have straight away flash it out as a breaking news. And unfortunately, just now gone through what the locals of Azad Kashmir at the LOC belongs to Sarjiwar, what they say.
जो रात को कल हमारा यहाँ आसानियाँ हो गया है। ये 2 हमारे बुजुर्ग भाई माजीन, एक की उम्र 60 साल है और एक 55 साल। ये सदियों से यहाँ रह रहे हैं, इनका बाप दादा यहाँ का रहने वाला है। आलूसू के करीब ये गांव है। बूढ़े जो ये माल बोशी के साथ रहते थे, कहीं माल बोशी गुम हो जाता है एलओसी के करीब, उनको ढूंढने के लिए गए, इंडिया आर्मी ने शहीद कर दिए। ये ऐसा नहीं हो, हमारे साथ ज्यादती है, जुल्म है, तो वो मार के कहते हैं कि ये दहशतगर्द है, और दहशतगर्द ये नहीं है, ये बूढ़े हैं, गाँव के जिम्मेदार लोग हैं, गाँव के माजीन लोग हैं।
ये जो वाक़या सरजीवाड़ में हुआ है, हमारे 2 भाई इंडियन आर्मी ने इनको शहीद कर दिया है। वो गांव के ज़ईफ़ुल उम्र थे, तकरीबन उनकी 50-60 साल उम्र थी। वो माल मवेशी के लिए औरतें, बच्चे, बूढ़े सब दिन को चराते हैं। तो कहीं माल आगे चला गया है, वो रात को ढूंढने के लिए गए तो इंडियन आर्मी ने उनको मार के शहीद कर दिया और उन्होंने रिपोर्ट में डाल दिया कि ये पाकिस्तान के दहशतगर्द थे। दहशतगर्द नहीं थे, वो ज़ईफ़ुल उम्र थे। इंडियन आर्मी ने हमारे साथ बहुत बड़ा जुल्म किया है। दहशतगर्दी खुद इंडियन आर्मी करती है।
के इलाके के 2 मजीन थे, एक का नाम मलिक फारूक और दूसरे का नाम मोहम्मद दीन नंबरदार। ये कोई दहशतगर्दी में नहीं पाए जाते हैं कि अरसा दराज से यहाँ रहते हैं। वो शाम को कहीं ना माल मवेशी को ढूंढने के लिए गए और इंडियन आर्मी ने फायर करके उनको हलाक कर दिया, जो हम भरपूर मजम्मत करते हैं।
मेरे 2 भाई अपने माल मवेशी ढूंढने के लिए एलओसी लाइन के करीब गए तो इंडियन आर्मी वालों ने फायर करके दोनों को शहीद कर दिया। लिहाजा हमारे साथ बहुत नाइंसाफी और जुल्म कर रहे हैं। हम यहाँ मकामी लोग हैं, वो इस जगह के मकामी थे, हम इस जगह के मकामी हैं।
इंडिया आर्मी ने इन बंदों को शहीद किया है और ये उनने दहशतगर्द बनवाया है, लेकिन दहशतगर्द ये दोनों नहीं थे। ये ग्रां के माजातीन लोग थे, बड़े लोग थे, 50-60 साल इनकी उम्र थी और उम्र के ज़रीफ़र लोग थे। माल मवेशी को मोड़ने के लिए गए थे, तो ये इंडिया आर्मी ने दहशतगर्द बनाकर इनको शहीद कर दिया।
You have just gone through the sentiments of the local population, and they were clearly saying that those were the innocent people. Now, come to the discussion. We have in our studios Mr. Altaf Hussain Wani. He is the chairman of the Kashmir Institute of International Relations, KIR. Thank you very much, Altaf Hussain Wani sir, for your presence here. And with him, Mr. Shabbir Wahgra. He is the chief reporter of the Pakistan television PTV World. Thank you very much, Shabbir, for your presence. And online joining us, Brigadier retired Syed Ghazanfar Ali. He is the strategic affairs expert. Thank you very much, Brigadier Sahab, for being with us online. My first question straight away to you, Altaf Sahab. You have gone through what the reality is. How much it's true that India always used these false flag operations for its nefarious designs to attain those objectives across the region, particularly when it comes to Pakistan, using it to malign the indigenous Kashmiri freedom struggle by labeling it Pakistan-sponsored or cross-line of control terrorism, while India also has the motive to strangle Kashmiris with famine, economic starvation, complete socio-economic suffocation. And that's why in Pahalgam incident, India tried to totally negate the terrorism with tourism with terrorism, to diminish the last hope of Kashmiris to earn something, earn with dignity.
Thank you very much. I think we have lots of evidences which you said in your intro about the false flag operations. This is just, you gave one incident. There have been numerous incidents of false flag operations which India have been conducted in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and then blaming Pakistan or the Kashmiris' freedom struggle, the indigenous freedom struggle of Kashmiris for those killings, for those whatever is happening there. And the main motive, as you already said, one is to malign Pakistan, the other is to defame the Kashmiris' indigenous freedom struggle and align it with the international terrorism. These has been the main motives of India. What they did in 2000 when Bill Clinton came, you rightly said, and one thing what Bill Clinton wrote in prologue to the book, The Mighty and the Almighty of the Madeleine Albright, he wrote there that if I would have not gone to the India, I would have saved the lives of 36 from the Hindu militants. This itself says much about the false flag operations, how this was conducted and all that. And soon after that, that incident when that took place, after one day they said we have killed those foreign terrorists. The Indian media, Indian government at that time claimed, but then when locals protested against that, and then the bodies were exhumed and they were found, those were the local Bagrawals, and then CBI inquiry found that how Indian, the brigadier of that and a colonel and a major and one collaborator local and a local SSP, Farooq, who is now a governor of somewhere from the BJP government.
And the case evidence is also available.
Evidence is there available. That is one of the incidents. If you see the Pulwama incident. Pulwama incident is, you can correlate that also. Pulwama incident happened at the time when India was going for the elections. And there was as per the governor Satyapal Malik, he had conveyed to the government of India, and those people were, they were requesting for the airlift from one place to other place. They were not provided that airlift by the government for 4 months. And against the protocol,
he categorically said in his interview with one of the seasoned journalists, Karan Thapa, and during that interview, he categorically said that I have demanded actually the airlifting of those troops. But unfortunately,
CRPF also demanded it, but they were not provided for 4 months.
That was denied.
4 months that was denied. And they traveled against the protocol by road.
Definitely.
And then also there were some alerts, and when it happened, the Prime Minister of India was somewhere doing some recreation, and he was told that this has happened, and what should we do? He was told to keep quiet. let it go like this, because put blame on the Pakistan as it should go like that, and then also this Home Minister and then the security advisor also. And it was managed. Why that was managed at that time? That time, Modi's was losing the election in India. There was a wave in Uttar Pradesh of Priyanka Gandhi. And soon after that, we saw a nationalistic rhetoric from BJP throughout India, and by winning to win those elections, that they can do this and
Obviously.
And if we'll go some back, Al-Faran is another classic example of India's false flag operation, and which was then exposed by the two British journalists, Andre and Cathy Scott, the two journalists. They exposed it through their investigation how Indian agencies are creating false organizations, fictitious names for that, and then they create a narrative against the these militants or the freedom
and that
fighters.
is also evident in EU Disinfo Lab as well, and lots of
we
others.
Saw a lot of
thousands
so
of
why
websites
happened
and all
this?
that.
Now coming to this, why it happened, and when it happened. As you said, that U.S. Vice President was in
J.D.
India.
Vance was there in
He
India.
was in India, and Prime Minister Modi was on a state visit to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
This was another. And in India, locally and domestically, you are seeing the Waqf agitation is on rise.
Yes, I have an intervention on that as well.
It was
your point well taken. Shabbir, when we are talking, we know, I'm cutting it short, that we know that what happened on 5th of August 2019, the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, and they are snatching day by day the identity of the Kashmiris. Genocide is going on in occupied territory. They ruined the economy, social fabric, snatching properties, as rightly pointed out by Wani Sahab, Waqf amendment, that is affecting Kashmiris as well. Cutting down orchards, destroying businesses, burning houses, and destroying whole of the even the markets and whatever that is. Now the situation is that it seems that India started following the footsteps of Israel, and India intend to change overall demographics, whether it's killing or excessive issuance of the fake domiciles and all that, or for the non-Kashmiris. Now, they want to change overall the Muslim population and the ratio. That's why the genocide was on, and now it is going to be intensified. There are lots of fears that it is going to be intensified just in the backdrop of Pahalgam.
Yes, Faisal, it is indeed one of the realities of all the Indian actions which are happening during last 1 decade, especially under the Modi government, BJP government in 2014 when they came. There were a series of actions which have been taken against Kashmiris to remove them from their land, to grab their land, like allotting domiciles to aliens on the Kashmiri soil, including. And one thing I would like to add, which was actually highlighted by Pakistan's defense minister yesterday, that every incident has a motive. If you look at the motive, when Pulwama happened, immediately post Pulwama, they revoked Kashmir's status, special status, Article 370, and they have done.
In the same year, definitely.
In the same year, citing the example of all the after fallout.
First objective was to win the election.
Exactly.
And then secondly, to have
to damage the Kashmiris and Kashmiri's special status and all those motives. And now, since 2019, there was a lot of voices. I was going through different articles even in last couple of days as well. There was a lot of voices who raised concern that next step is Indus Water Treaty. India was behind this treaty for last, especially after Modi government. They were by hook and crook. They were doing and disturbing the treaty, and which shows that India has been established as like a world bully state. You can say it because what they have done in Canada, what they have done in the United States, what they have done in
It's evident
Europe,
in New Zealand, it's evident in Australia, their foreign ministers
and secondly, what they have done with the international treaties,
Yes.
international United Nations Security Council's accepted resolutions, and they are violating everything with impunity. And they with every passing year, they feel like that they will do anything in the pretext of a false flag operation, and the world will forget it. Basically, India is going through a memory loss syndrome, and they feel like that whole world is going through memory loss syndrome.
Definitely, you are absolutely right,
because
but it's very unfortunate whatever is happening in our neighborhood. Your point well taken, Shabbir. Brigadier Ghazanfar Sahab, do you not think that Pahalgam and other false flags were actually the part of Doval doctrine, especially to suppress and discredit the indigenous freedom movement in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, which is now evident that how Indian occupation forces arrested more than 1,500 innocent Kashmiris in last few days and so-called cordon and search operations. Could it be a new license to kill to the given to the Indian occupation forces for genocide and war crimes within the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir?
Yes, absolutely. India, the Kashmir is under occupation, and you know the extent of the Indian army present in Kashmir is more than 7 lakh. It's not Indian army only. It is others, Rashtriya Rifle, Rajputana Rifle, BSF, and name whatever the security organization which are not operating in Kashmir. And they have settled up their own concentration camp where they pack Kashmiris. And even to the extent of this, that the Indian army is involved in ransom activities when taking the children, small children, into their concentration camp and then demanding money out of that. So India in Kashmir, whatever atrocities could be done, could be imagined, India is undertaking those atrocities. I mean, you talked about the killing of the 38 Sikhs in Kashmir when Clinton was Clinton visited, Madeleine Albright wrote that in her book, and Indian tried their level best, and in the second edition they were successful in removing those remarks of Clinton which have been quoted that had
Definitely the edition that was published in India. Yeah, but you are right. You are right.
To India, 38 Sikhs lives would have been saved. And on top of that, I mean, I can quote, Indian can say that this is not correct. But if you go to the Congressional Board edition, which is in the House of Representatives, that is volume 52, 2006 and part 8, page 10183, in that the representation was made by two congressmen. One was the Honorary Adolphus Towns of New York, and another one in which they committed, they wrote this thing, that Hindu militants vented their feelings and killed 38 Sikhs just as part of the militant activities. And Indian government is involved in that. Those are the remarks. You can go on to the Google and search and find these things. So, and then on top of that, you remember what happened in Kunan Pashpura. Kunan Pashpura, there were 100 women. Those women were, they were raped in front of their kids in Tehran, and the Al Jazeera reported on that. Not only reported onto that, but two women involved. One was the Irfa Bhatt and one was the Natasha Rathib. They took their interview, who were involved into that, and they published a report about that. And in 2013, there are 50 group of women which went to Indian Supreme Court and said that open the investigation about this mass rape. And when the Kashmir High Court opened that investigation, they committed that this was done, and they asked Indian Army to pay money to the victim, but that was not done. And this, moreover, you were talking about the Pulwama attack. After the Pulwama attack, if you read Hindu Hindu newspaper of 22nd May 2023, in which the governor Kashmir committed, he said the Indians had won election on the dead bodies of their soldiers, and though no investigation was done into that event. Hindu reported.
So, Brigadier Sahab, history suggests that during Kashmir's indigenous freedom struggle, civilians were never being targeted by the Kashmiri freedom fighters, even like Burhan Wani or all others. We have lots of examples. Then the all parties Hurriyat conference leader Mirwais Umar Farooq just condemned the killing of these tourists who were there in Barsian, and the statement is very much evident. Kashmiris always reacted in self-defense, even if necessary, despite of their unarmed struggle with the stones or with agitation. They are massively attacked or murdered, and that intensified in the last 2 decades particularly. What India is actually hiding behind the Pahalgam was the main actually beneficiary of this whole incident, whatever happened. When we calculate, the actual beneficiary is the Modi regime. How do you see that?
You see what happened in Bihar today. India in Bihar, in Narendra Modi was delivering a speech in Bihar, and his total speech, if you read the context of that, is surrounded along the Pahalgam incident. In Kashmir, there's a Congress government. He wants to demote the Congress government, and he wants to because he has not been able to win election in Congress in Kashmir. Second, there are many states where the BJP has lost, and then in the last election, he committed that we will take more than the 2/3 majority. There are political fallouts also. And remember, you have to compare this incident with the international events which are happening in the international arena. And the biggest event which is happening in the international arena is the American pressure on Iran, and the Israeli pressure on Iran, where Israelis want Americans to attack Iran. And in that scenario, Israelis have taken Indians on board to create tension into this region, so that Pakistan, which is adjacent to Iran, Pakistan should be brought into the level where you see the one of the anchor Palki Sharma. I don't understand where is she born and where has she been educated and what is her background. But I'm sorry to say she is a very dumb and she is a very propagandist type of woman, a sheepish type of a woman. Yesterday she does a program and says that it is Hamas type attack. Was missiles used in this attack? There were only bullets used in this attack. And this attack, the sketch which they released, that sketch relates to the one of the employee of the CRPF in their own agency. And Kashmiris have never targeted tourists in whole of this struggle, which is going right of the. So
never ever. Your point well taken, Brigadier Sahib. You are absolutely right, because we are also getting lots of these are not confirmed but unconfirmed reports, but the reports are there about the presence of some of the Israelis there in Srinagar and rest of the area. So you are absolutely right that whatever connivance India and Israel has related to creating tensions with Pakistan right now. Shabbir, you must have to be very much aware that what the Indian media's role is. When we are talking about particularly the Pahalgam attack in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, why it is conveniently took place in the presence of nearly 1 million occupation forces and intelligence agencies there. Then according to the Indian media itself, if we track that, the attack happened at 3 p.m. in Barsian. RAW affiliated, the Research and Analysis Wing affiliated social media activated at 5 minutes past 3. Yeah. So it is amazing, in 5 minutes, they know each and everything. And started leveling allegations against Pakistan. Then how Indian media and even Indian government got the information before any sort of investigation or any evidence available, started blaming Kashmiris and Pakistanis at the same time. How is it possible in 5 minutes?
Yes, Faisal, that is one of the million-dollar question, that there is no agency, intelligence agency or security agency in the world which has this capacity to decide the perpetrator of.
By the way, after a couple of hours, the security and the agencies, the police, it was very difficult to reach there, but it would never take a couple of hours really. But they took that time, and then afterwards they reached there. And how is it possible that if the agencies are not reaching there, then 5 minutes media in Delhi and Mumbai and all others, they are flashing the news?
And not only that, look at the overall sequence of the events, what happens. At 3:05, Indian intelligence agency related Twitter account, the X account,
Yes.
they gave this particular news blaming Pakistan and directly blaming Pakistan.
And that was not the one. Those were thousands of that. It means it was
exactly at
premeditated.
3:30, within 30 minutes, this was the top trend in India on X, that Pakistan sponsored terror.
Yes.
Or Pakistan sponsored terror. That was the #1 trend in. What happened, like in 30 minutes you can't even find the news, and what type of these keyboard warriors were there to be given a go ahead,
And
at
they
3
were
o'clock,
having headers, we want revenge, we want
exactly
revenge.
exactly at 3:30 they were like crying like anything that they want revenge. This is like 7th October of India, this is, and what actually Indian media was doing, what actually Indian social media accounts were doing, and what actually Indian different so-called Indian journalists, which we know their past, if you talk about
We know
different,
most of them really.
most of them very well, their wording, everything shows that it was just like everything was scripted, and they were waiting for a go ahead, and they make a very silly mistake that at least wait for 1 hour so that you can justify this, that we got the news.
But when you have the news first and the event afterwards,
Later,
it means that everything is
that's
there.
that's the
Definitely.
case.
That was the real case. So, Wani sahab, could this be a deliberate ploy to showcase a manufactured threat from Pakistan to win? I am using the word manufactured threat to win U.S. sympathy and support in regional geopolitics, as a new Trump administration just took hold of the government, and India think it's the time to strike, and necessary lucrative place like Israel, to act and play like Israel, because that is going to give advantage not only to them in South Asia, as Israel is getting in Middle East or in West Asia, in the region and in occupied territory as well. So because of it, because they have lots of credits similar to each other. Number one is that Israel is striving for a greater Israel, they are striving for a Akhand Bharat, then they are killing innocent people over there in Gaza and in West Bank in Palestine. India is killing there in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and at the same pattern they are having the demographic changes and erasing the identity and all others. So how do you see this overall situation regarding India to get leverage of the United States?
You see, India is a strategic partner of United States and always wanted to take the advantage of that in the region. And seeing on the other hand, the economic war now happening between China and not China, basically between US and the whole world at this time, the tariff war which is happening around. India is itself in that. India wants to get some of the leverage between that. But we must remember that Pakistan is not the Palestine. One thing
definitely
Pakistan
it
is not the Palestine.
Pakistan has its own identity.
Pakistan has its own identity. Pakistan has its own international clout. Pakistan knows how to deal with these things. So it is a dream of India that they will do this like the Israel is doing in the Middle East. It cannot happen. Currently, it's not the position. But their dream is this. The other dream of theirs is, as we said, that they want to malign Pakistan in each and everything so that they could get advantage of that. The third one is their domestic pressures, which at current, which I told you earlier, the domestic pressures which BJP government had, those were also one of the reasons for these false flag operations, because that's the one. And the third one is the Kashmir. Kashmir is the way, because India thought that for last 35 years they have been using each and every armory in Kashmir, be that its military might, its economic clout and all that. And then after 2005 onwards, they used the constitutional onslaught on Kashmiris by changing their demography, taking out their identity and all that, and then installed the government over there, holding elections, lost those elections, and after those elections, there's a pressure from Kashmir, now you should give us the statehood and all that to that government. So on that end also, they have a pressure in Kashmir. So in order to save that to fade away that pressure and Waqf bill pressure and others, India managed this. And the fourth one, which I have seen happening regularly for last so many years. That is at the start of the tourist season, there happens something in Kashmir. And then the tourism is diverted to the rest of India.
And that is now a regular feature.
Diverted to the Himachal Pradesh and other places. And because tourism is the lifeline of Kashmiris, so they strangulate our economic situations in Kashmir. That is another thing. And now, during this period, what they did it in Pahalgam, where nothing has happened so far. You have hundreds and thousands of yatris. When you say there is rise in the tourism, that is always yatris. Those are the religious pilgrimage which India is promoting in Kashmir, the Hindu religious pilgrimage which they are promoting in
Amarnath
Kashmir.
Yatra and all
Amarnath
of those,
Yatra and others. So that they promote as the rise in tourism. They don't contribute anything to the Kashmir's economy.
Your point,
they contribute
well
only
taken.
to the
No doubt, no doubt.
climate.
Shabbir, if you just add into that what I'm saying now, asking, beside Indian retired journals and the media keep on leveling false, fabricated and fake allegations of spreading terrorism on Pakistan, but also like past mantra, they are flaming war hysteria against Pakistan and shouting madly to attack Azad Jammu and Kashmir. What do you think? Why? What's the motive behind? Do you not think that they intend to exploit the international disorder existing everywhere right now across the world? Do you think that this is basically the reason, because of that disorder, they want to use that US leverage which is available against China as a counterweight? They intend to do something in Azad Kashmir.
Exactly, Faisal. If we talk about especially of this particular incident when US Vice President just landed in India, and also as in previous question you were saying that about its relations with India taking a leaf from Israel's book. One point we should also remember that it is a long-standing wish of India to have a military deals with the United States as per Israel's military deals, and also intelligence sharing, some arrangement
and kind of a status as Israel is actually enjoying.
Exactly, Israel is enjoying in the Middle East. They want to enjoy that particular status in South Asia, and especially to give them a boost against China, majorly focusing on China, and using the sentiments of new Trump administration due to this trade war against China. They want to exploit that as well. And you rightly pointed out that particular action as well, that they want to do something against Pakistan to gain more strategic value in face from the United States. It is evident from last few months how terrorism rose in Pakistan, especially in Balochistan, in bordering area of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where we have been having a lot of evidence that Afghan soil was used against Pakistan, but financed by India. That is one of the reasons that India wants to engage Pakistani security forces massively on the western side of the border, and then they are supporting BLA, they are supporting TTP, immensely investing a lot of money on them, and then creating this, despite of all the ceasefire on LOC, all of a sudden you came up with this particular incident, and then you have forgotten all those 4 years of ceasefire, and then you want to make it again make it a hot border, deliberately, just to keep Pakistan's security forces exhausted and gain United States support, especially to deals like that they have given to Israel.
Your point well taken. Your point well taken. Brigadier Ghazanfar Sahab, many experts believe that there is so-called or the puppet but opposing government in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Then there is a backlash on the Waqf bill, both in India and then in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir as well. Then there is a US investigation going on Indian Intelligence Agency Research and Analysis Wing, their transnational crimes. Then lots of freedom struggles are going on within India in different states, even the 7 sister states like Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, Manipur and all others. So India or Delhi is actually in severe pressure, and to release that pressure and to divert world's international community's attention towards terrorism, they have played this Pahalgam incident, particularly to seek assistance from the United States and even the West, the sympathies as well.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you said is absolutely right. They have an agenda. You see, Pahalgam, it's like a film trailer. They are very expert in that. You see, there was an incident at Saif Ali Khan house where he was attacked with the knives and all that. Indian police has yet not been able to detect who attacked Saif Ali Khan. How can they detect within 15 or 5 minutes, as previously pointed out, that they put on X after 5 minutes? So there is a chronology of every terrorism incident. You have to look at the background. You have to see the presence of the individual. You have to see the forensic thing. You have to see how the terrorists moved. Where was the weapon stored? Who brought them in? Pahalgam is an area where there is no road existing. So just to, you have very rightly pointed out, and that's what we have been saying, that India wants to attract. When Palki Sharma says that it is an Hamas type attack, what is she conveying to American administration? That look, whatever you are doing to support Israel in Gaza, we are in the same position. I mean, I cannot imagine such a propagandist and such a liar and a hypocrite type of the anchors can be conducting the programs on the international event. So India, why did Modi shortened his visit in Saudi Arabia and came back immediately? Because he wanted to raise a voice in Middle East also. There was a genocide in Manipur also. Now, at that point of time, Narendra Modi was on a visit abroad. He didn't come back. He particularly came back, and particularly
Absolutely right. You were talking about a female anchor, but there was a male anchor as well who is very famous for screaming. Actually, he was time and again starting his program from screaming and end his program on scream. So such type of anchors are there in India who are always lying, always fabricating, always having the fictitious news and all that. But the fact of the matter is that if you just elaborate to us that what is actually happening within the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, because to our information that soon after this Pahalgam incident, whatever was actually going on, but within India even saying this Godi media or Godi mafia or something like that, we are not going into that one basically, but the Hindu fanatics are actually calling Indian fascist Modi regime that impose this whole scenario, impose even blockades to the Pakistanis, what India just announced yesterday, and reciprocally Pakistan has done the same. But on the other side, there are several reports that Indian Home Minister Amit Shah was there with lots of intelligence agencies in Srinagar. Indian Army Chief Upendra Dwivedi, he has visited Srinagar as well, and he remained there for a couple of days and having meetings with the General Officer commanding 15th Corps over there and they were planning something. Heavy loads of the weapons were transferred from India to line of control. Then also there are ample reports that in Srinagar, Israeli agents and even their hardcore military people were seen over there, even at the Adampur, because some of the planes landed with the loads of the precision guided bombs. So how do you see that overall scenario, what India is actually preparing and what we have to do urgently?
Building whatever pressure they can do at the diplomatic level, at the political level, and at the military level. And the type of the leadership you have in India in shape of Narendra Modi and Ajit Kumar Doval and Amit Shah, you can expect anything out of the Indians. Now, what can happen? What I foresee is like the previous did in the shape of the surgical strike or in the shape of the Balakot strike, Indian can take and can undertake any limited attack in some of the sectors, because you see, you ran a report where they said that in Baramulla there had been exchange of fire between the security forces and people who were trying to get into Kashmir, which is not possible. They are fabricating everything. So we have to take everything very seriously. And as you mentioned, I've already told you that Israelis are behind Americans. that you go and attack Iran, and they are behind India that you go and take a limited action or go attack some of the sectors in Pakistan. And the reports have been pouring in previously also. So Pakistan has to be diplomatically prepared, has to be prepared everything at the diplomatic level, constitute a team which has the diplomacy experts, have a foreign minister who's a professional, who knows what diplomacy is, who knows what the world connection is. You know, Indian foreign minister has been there for the long so many years. We do not have a professional foreign minister at this point of time, which is our biggest weakness, that we cannot play up narrative abroad as professionally it should be done. Then militarily, I'm sure the military command must be undertaking the notice of all these moves. And on the eastern sector, in the sector, all those things which are needed to be tied up should have been done and would be doing those things. If they are lifting the weapons,
Pakistan's military is very much vigilant and on high alert, no doubt about that, and they are capable of defending our motherland, and we, whole of the nation is actually behind our armed forces, no doubt about that. Your point well taken. In few seconds, briefly, both of you, because we have run short of time. 56 Pakistanis are there in Indian jails. Now, India has taken drastic measures on the diplomatic front, trade, visas and all others. They are in jails from the last many years. Shabbir, do you think, as a diplomatic reporter as well, that those Pakistanis could be used for any sort of a nefarious design, any sort of a, there would be more false flag operations by the Modi regime. So those Pakistanis might be utilized that these as a terrorist, as named or labeled as a terrorist.
Indeed, Faisal, because this is, if you look at the history of India, you have shown a fake encounter in the start of the program.
Unfortunately, two elderly people.
Exactly,
two elderly people from
so this particular thing is a clear example that they can do anything on this front, and also that using Pakistani prisoners already there who have been either fishermen or crossed LOC by mistake, and they have been captured. And they
Shabbir, we have run short of time, your point well taken. Wani sir, if you want to say one or two words, that what would be the expected, particularly when it comes to the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir?
The expectations which we have, which are there very much from the last 2 days, we have seen the siege and search operations happening throughout Valley to suppress more voices in Kashmir, and also Kashmiris living, working in India and studying in India, they are facing the brutal repression on the part of the RSS and other Hindu fundamentalists and under the convenience of this BJP government. This is happening for the Kashmiris at this time, and we have seen also there are reports about that India might be using its military muscle.
But no doubt the Kashmiris are the brave son of soil, and they will always continue their freedom struggle against the Indian suppression, oppression and all that. Thank you very much, Wani sir, for your presence here. Thank you very much, Shabbir, for your presence, and thank you very much, Brigadier Retired Ghazanfar Sahab, for your candid views and inputs. Viewers, you have just listened to our panelists. Situation is grim when it comes to the belligerent acts of India, what is happening right now in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and even we are witnessing at the line of control. No doubt about that, that India-Israel nexus is actually playing when the US support is also there. So it means that India is playing that leverage, and unfortunately mounting tensions in the region in South Asia. Both are the nuclear countries. This confrontation which is started from India is going to pay harms to the whole population which is living in this region. No doubt that the situation is grim, but Pakistan must have to speed up its diplomatic efforts to have peace and stability in the region. But Pakistan has to prepare, and no doubt about that, in our armed forces, that whole of the nation is united, that if there would be any sort of aggression from India, Pakistani nation will act swiftly and as one. So as we have right at the start of the program, we have mentioned about the Madeleine Albright, the former US Secretary of State's book, The Mighty and the Almighty. And it was whatever written in that book is really, India has actually at that time spinning away or turning away lots of the evidences which were there in the book when its second edition was published in India. But you can remove the books, you can remove the pages from it, you can remove even the data and all that, but you cannot remove the history. And in history, it is clearly written that India is an habitual liar, and India is always designing and staging lots of false flag operations, and Pahalgam was unfortunately another false flag operation in which India sacrificed its own citizens for its nefarious designs, particularly for the dirty politics of the Modi regime. That is the fascist setup that is there in India right now, the offshoot of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. Unfortunately, for the political purposes, for the strategic purposes, and whatever they want to achieve, they are going to lose, because Pakistani nation is united. This is all from today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.